Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Red and Blues Brothers podcast. I'm David Johnson, my co-host Mike Fitzsimmons, and in the middle here, Ole Miss quarterback legend John Darnell. And guys, I'm going to shut up and let you guys chop it up because I've been hearing all these old stories the entire podcast, and they're good, and they're going to share some with you. So, Mike, take it away.
My favorite, one of them of all-time quarterbacks and teammates, is this guy right here from Card, Mississippi. First time the guy walked on campus, he was a freshman, a baby, and I'm an old guy. And John had just a mettle and demeanor about him. And I'll never forget asking Coach Brewer what he thought about John Darnell, and he said, "Michael, we'd have to check his pulse." You understand? Like nothing fazed the guy. He was unflappable. Led Ole Miss in 1989 to the Liberty Bowl and beat Air Force. So he was part of that bunch that helped lay the foundation for Rebel Nation and us going forward. And John, thank you for being our first guest on the Red and Blues Brothers.
Anytime. Just glad to be here. Always fun to talk to Fitz, one of my favorite all-time teammates. Obviously, I was scared to death when I first stepped on campus because of guys like Mike Fitzsimmons and Todd Irvin and people like that. It scared me to death, but just awesome teammates and great people, and glad to be here.
Thank you, John. And well, heck of a year, huh? John is the sideline reporter, I'm sure as everyone knows, the voice on the radio, and he gives the insight for the Ole Miss radio network for the football broadcast. And we are fortunate enough to have John come in here today and give it a little insight and maybe a recap from the old QB's perspective on what we got to watch on this historic, memorable season. John, did you see it coming early on?
Man, we talked earlier about the potential for this team. Obviously, they replaced a lot of starters from last year, and we really didn't know. We knew we had a pretty good schedule, who we were going to play, and didn't know how good anybody was going to be with this portal thing. It's year to year, and so one of the big things was you figure you're going to win the first one, and you go to Kentucky, and then Simmons goes down, and you just everybody kind of panicked, And but you saw when Trinidad went in and closed that game out, kind of some potential for him to say, hey man, we may have something here with this guy. At least they need to make him a part of the offense. And what a guy, what a quarterback he became throughout the season, and carried this team. Defensively, they got better each game, I believe, and are better throughout the year. And then offensive line improved, and they were able to run the football this year, something they weren't able to do last year. And but it all started with that quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, and what a fabulous player, leader he is, has been for this team. And I saw that when we beat South Carolina, the way that team reacted. Arkansas.
Ooh, what a performance!
When after that game, when he took that final knee, and how the rest of the team went to him, and you could see right then they bought in, and he had them. So just a fabulous season for him and the team.
John, I want to ask you a fabulous job of recapping what happened with Ole Miss football in 2025 and into 26, but obviously Trinidad Chambliss is a big part of the puzzle looking ahead. How do you feel this team would be, and I'm just going to ask you, where would they be in the preseason top 25 if Trinidad, in fact, does come back as the quarterback?
Oh, well, I think you got to look at what else the portal settles out. After this week, and see who we keep, who leaves. But from who they've lost a couple of big ones this week. But I think they've tried to replace them. But going in, I would say top 10, and I would say Trinidad Chambliss is going to be one of the front runners for the Heisman Trophy.
I agree.
And then as this got brought up early in the season this year, after those first couple of games, we're like, hey, if he keeps on doing this, he had a candidate for the Heisman Trophy, and he didn't even play really in the first two games. And that was an amazing thing to think about, but it was true. And I think if he comes back, he's going to be one of the top players in the country, and he's going to have to be mentioned in the Heisman Trophy.
No doubt. And it's unbelievable that, and I'll be honest with you, I cover recruiting. we got Trinidad Chambliss in. I was like everybody else. I'm thinking, this guy is going to be the backup to Austin Simmons. And I kept hearing things coming from practice that they were really pleased with what they saw, but no idea that he would play the way he did. He finished 8th in the Heisman battle this past season. So, this is, man, I'm just beyond myself with excitement. I'm ready for spring ball. Like you, I'm ready for the portal to close. And let's see what our roster looks like. Only one portal period this year. And even though it closes today, there's still going to be portal activity. You had to get in by today. So, you're still going to have visits. You're still going to have, offers. And you're going to ultimately have commitments out of that portal. But like John, I think this is, with Trinidad Chambliss, a top 5 team. Without him, still top 10, because, man, they fixed their quarterback. Deuce Knight is here. A.J. Maddox is here. Walker Howard is coming back. How strange is that? How strange is that? Being a former quarterback, that a quarterback leaves your program, hits the program, goes and plays somewhere else, and now he's back. How different is that?
Yeah, I think it says a lot about your leadership here, and it says a lot about your staff. There's somebody on that staff that's close to Walker Howard, obviously, and but it's wide open. It's wide open for him, especially Trinidad to come back. I mean, it's a guy that has the ability to play, and unfortunately he got hurt this season, first or second game down there. So glad to have him back, if not as the starter, as some depth. We saw how important that was this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It made a difference. And touching on what you said about leadership, John, and going forward, I want to get your thoughts on the leadership of Pete Golding. And through all the distractions, and we could talk, it all starts in the locker room, what he was able to hold together through all the adversity and the nonsense and drama, what he did to right the ship. And, hey, he's got a better record in the playoffs than the guy that left. He's 2-1, right? Yeah. But his leadership, and he sold me, John, when he said his first chance to take the Walker champions, it wasn't a fashion show, John. Guess what he did? No, guys, you go. I'll meet you in the locker room. Oh, yeah. Tell us about what you think of Pete Golding.
Just what I've seen, and the focus this year had gotten taken so much off the players who needed all the glory and the praise, and it was on one guy. And I think he realized that. I think a lot of people in the building realized that. And I think when he finally, accepted the job, and he wasn't looking for that job, but I think they pointed to the guy that
he didn't want it, correct, John?
That's right. That could take them, through all this mess, and which is what it was. It was so weird. You got new coaches, you got old coaches coming together, and to keep all that together. And the team playing like they were was an amazing job, and all the credit goes to him. He was the guy that kind of pulled all that together, like you said. But a guy that you would love to play for, a guy that has a relationship with the players, which I don't think the other guy did. Apparently, I didn't play that guy or that team, but Pete Golding's on a different level as far as the relationship with, kind of how we had it with Coach Brewer and Coach Youngblood and
it makes a
Red
difference.
Parker. Yeah, it does. You want to play for that guy, and you want to, practice hard for that guy because he's going to have your back. He's going to take care of you, and he cares about you.
John, I don't know if you know this, but I had the good fortune of covering Pete at Delta State when he was a player. And so I've known him almost 30 years. And he was the same kind of player that you just described as a head coach. Just a tremendous individual. And a funny little story here, and I've got to write it, but Jamie Everett, who is the principal at Lafayette Middle School now, Jamie was a GA on the Delta State staff back then, had just gotten through playing. He was on Delta State, Steve Campbell's national title team. Jamie was the guy who brought Pete Golding into Delta State. And he was recruiting an offensive lineman at Hammond High School named Ryan Barker. And Ryan ultimately went to Delta State, become a Division II All-American. And Ryan said, I'll come here, but I've got 2 friends back in high school. They don't have any offers.
Wow.
And I would like to come here with my 2 friends. So Everett's like, okay, we're going to bring them up here for a tryout, and we'll see what you have. And coaches, being coaches, they're like, oh, he's going to bring these 2 flat-footed guys up here that, aren't going to be any good. And, we're going to give them $500. We'll buy their books for a semester. The 2 guys he brought up here, obviously, one was Pete Golding. The other was Scott Eister. Eister went on to win the Connerly Trophy. He was a Division II All-American, an outstanding quarterback. Went into the New York Jets training camp for a little bit. Pete went on to become an All-Gulf South Conference safety, the leader of the defense, the quarterback of the defense. I've already said Ryan Barker was a Division II All-American, and Delta State, under Ron Roberts, played for a national title during that era. They didn't win it, but they played for it. And if not for Ryan Barker, Pete Golding might have walked on at Tulane and might not have ever come to Mississippi. And just an interesting little tidbit about how Pete got from Hammond to Mississippi. A lot of credit goes to Jamie Everett over at Lafayette High School, and to Ryan Barker, who's down in Hammond still today.
I'll tell you this, if I wasn't a Rebel, I'd want to be a Fighting Ochre.
Oh, man.
That's the coolest name out there, right, John?
Yeah, that's right. I did some time there. I was graduate assistant there before.
Cleveland, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Did you, John?
Graduate assistant there the year after 2 years after I played here. And a lot of those guys are going on to be great coaches.
Who was that coach?
Todd Knight.
Oh, okay,
Todd
yeah.
Knight's first year as a head coach there. And
Well, okay. I came in Todd's latter part. I was on the 6-year plan to get out of Delta State, so I was like 24 when I started at the Bolivar commercial. But yeah, man, that's crazy. That is absolutely nuts. But I didn't realize you had been over there. Yeah, it is.
I'm getting my master's degree from there at Delta State.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and Jay Hobson was there with me. A teammate of mine here went on to be a
He's a good football
great coach.
Yeah. Jay's a good man.
That Delta State is the first place that, my son signed with you Fruities, obviously, but he ended up playing for Matt Luke. And Delta State, Travis Parker Field, was the first place that Matt Luke ever saw my son. Unfortunately, my son was 8 years old and had stolen a golf cart and almost ran over Matt and Coach Cutcliffe at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was during a big spring jamboree. But he had no idea that he'd be recruiting and signing him a few years later. But, that's the story.
That's how it happens.
We have the right guy in place, in my opinion. It sounds like you guys agree. Touching back on what I don't really want to bring up, but the playoff game, John, in Arizona.
Yeah.
I am of the opinion, I said it was going to be a trench warfare game. When you were there on the field, getting the eyeball firsthand account, I think if Lacey doesn't go down, the Rebs are playing Indiana. I think that was, nobody wants to talk about it. There was missed holding calls, some missed personal fouls, if you ask me, in the first half on Trinidad, and of course the questionable no pass interference call on the fade route down
right there, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's he has a big loss. He's trying to treat that hamstring and try to figure out how to wrap it up and get it back in there. And we lost him for about a whole quarter there. And he came back in the second half, and I don't know, we just mainly used him in pass protection.
He's good at that.
He's great at that. But Trinidad took over and got us back, within with a chance to win right there at the end. And the first quarter, that's pass interference every time. And but they didn't call it the last play of the game.
Oh, God, man. You know what? I hadn't even went back to the last play of the game. It hurts too bad mentally. I mean, it really does. That's pass interference all day long.
With a horse collar.
Yes. I mean, I don't know why it wasn't called. I guess the officials were like, this is it. We're going to let them play it out.
And one great way we haven't mentioned on this wide receiver group for Ole Miss and the tight ends. How good they played this year.
Daquan Wright.
Sean Stribling, and how he came on those last 3 or 4 games, and some of the plays he made during the season. That's the guy they threw to at the end. and I'm not so sure he wouldn't have caught it.
John, the ball was right there if you look at
If the
it.
guy wouldn't
Wouldn't have
have had him by
interfered.
the neck.
Yeah, and you know, nobody really wants to talk about it because the elation of the season it was. You know, feel great about it, and what's ahead, I think, for this team. But I mean, one flag, and we might still be playing. And when this final AP poll comes out, I hope they're number 3. I think they deserve to be number 3. Maybe you guys differ, but I think they ought to be number 3.
I think we became America's team. My phone was blowing up. People love the
Yes.
story of Trinidad, of Ole Miss, and as a brand, we've never been stronger. And I think only bright things are ahead. And looking ahead for next year, like you said, John, earlier, we're a preseason top 10 football team.
Yeah, gotta be.
Gotta be.
Yeah, gotta be. Yeah, just the way the games, the Georgia game and the Sugar Bowl, and then the exciting games we had leading up to that Fiesta Bowl, and the way the Fiesta Bowl ended up, just fascinating games. It's great to be a part of it.
And having a home playoff game.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. I mean, why are you depriving the schools that are rated higher from being able to host a playoff game, man? I mean, a $74.5 million reported impact on Oxford, Mississippi. You think they didn't want that in Athens, Georgia? They didn't get it. Their first game was in New Orleans. I mean, so I think they've got to fix that. There's a lot of talk about playoff expansion as well. I think we're going to see 16 teams eventually, pretty darn soon. Well, guys, we're almost out of time. We want to thank John Darnell.
The man.
I remember being in high school, watching John play. I remember that Liberty Bowl. That was, of course, right after the Chucky Mullen injury. Chucky was there as well, and I was there, and it was cold. It was cold. But we want to thank him. So on behalf of Mike Fitzsimmons, I'm David Johnson. This is John Darnell. We'll see you next time on the Red and Blues Brothers.